Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Beyond the 90. We've got Alex and myself back as usual. And yes, the preview show is back for 2 weeks in a row now. We're going to be getting on and talking about some stuff at the moment. We're going to be talking about different formations. We're going to be talking about three at the back, number 10s, possession, average. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. So make sure you let us know in the comment section down below. And just thank you, Rich, once again. Hopefully work's not tripping you up too much this time. Sorry, yes, for the non-invite, but thank you so much, Rich, for the comment once again. And yes, we'll be talking about a lot of information, but just initially, now it's been a while. It feels like a long time since the match against Sheffield United. How are you still feeling now, Alex?
I feel very confident. It feels weird to say that it's felt like an eternity since we've last played, which is kind of wild considering this is the second week in a row. But I feel pretty good. The more that I really dove into the recap and kind of looked over everything and looked at highlights and whatnot. One of the big things that I took away from the Sheffield game was that Sheffield has not lost many games by a lot of points. By a lot of goals. It's been very close most games. We absolutely obliterated them. And I think there's that difference. It was a complete team win compared to, we snuck out one or two goals. So my biggest, takeaway from from that match and from a few days later has been, we really did an impressive job on how we handled that win.
Yes, no, I definitely think so as well. And something that we're going to come on to in a bit is about the possession, how much it was, and we'll come on to that. First of all, we just want to talk about, obviously, we're trying to do 5 points from the match. One of the first ones I think we mentioned before with his Soyuncu, Evans, and Fafana. So this is a formation that I think we've heard through the grapevine that they really, Brendan Rodgers really wants to play with this squad, having players like Soyuncu, Evans at the back being that solid rock. And then you've got Fafana one side and Evans, Soyuncu the other. I think that's the first time them three have started and finished a match together. They might have come on in bits and spurts, but first time they've ever played together. And again, if this is a formation that's going to work, it's going to look, I think we're going to look really solid when we come up against big teams like the Man United, who we will come on to in a bit.
Yeah, and you know what? The back three, has been discussed probably since the start of the season, and due to injuries, I don't think we've actually seen this back three the way it has been. And I have to say it was impressive. With the likes of Evans and Soyuncu being able to be as defensively sound as they normally are, and how they can play defensively, it gives that opportunity for Fafana to move forward, because he tends to do that more often than not. And having the wing backs as well there, it kind of alleviates a little bit more pressure. They're free to run up the pitch and they're free to run back down, when they have to defend. I think this is the vision that Rodgers had at the start of the season, and he's finally been able to implement it.
Yeah, and I think so too. And how he's going to implement it, I think we will see it from here on out. We'll just look at again, I'll try and get my amazing technology working. Here we go. So first of all, shout out to North American Foxes and how we were playing this position. So if you look at it this way, we were kind of, obviously Michael's at the back. It was almost a 2 at the back, then 4, then 3, then 1. So it's an unbelievably attacking lineup. Again, yes, Sheffield United were poor. However, this is on the all over the match. And the fact that we're playing such a position, and again, we want to give a thanks to the likes of Alex and also Glenn and the rest of them from North American Foxes, and make sure you go and follow them over there as well. But yes, I think this was a brilliant stat and something I want to put up. Oh, and Alex's Twitter, so you make sure to follow him as well, as a comment there as well. But yeah, again, I was shocked when I saw this, but in a good way, about how strong this team was and how strong this lineup was. I mean, in order to attack them, I mean, no wonder we scored 5 goals. This is kind of something you would expect from the likes of Man City.
Yeah, and I think as much as I have absolutely loved the fact that this is, they were able to play in an attacking formation, I think you need to also, consider the fact that they went up against Sheffield United. And that's one thing. I think if you brought this type of formation up towards, like a team like Manchester United or, Man City, I think you'd have a difficult time. I think depending on the club that you're facing. And I think really Sheffield was that opportunity where you could try this out and see if it worked. Moving forward for this weekend, I don't know if Rodgers would take the chance on that.
Yeah.
So I think it ultimately depends on what club you're facing.
Yes, and again, we've got two people. And there's a Rich put. I was wrong about Amati. We all were, mate. We thought it was going to play, but it looks like, and it's to be fair, that's another point as well. The fact that he dropped the goal-scoring the winner of who scored the last goal to give us 3 points, it shows you a lot about not just trust, but the fact that he can rotate the squad and he can change the squad. He can take out Tavares. Yes, he was ill, that we found out only afterwards, or Glenn pointed out during, but we can drop it and they're still strong. I mean, the likes of, obviously, Maddison is missing, the likes of Barnes is missing, like James Justin is missing, 3 big players, which we'll get into the England call up a little bit later. But the fact that he's done that again would have been 10-0, and then Amate on Sunday is all scoring a hat-trick. Let's hope so. But yeah, thanks for your comments, Matt and Rich. But yes, just again, that's something that wasn't picked up on as well. The fact that nobody, I mean, if we would have lost that game or we were going in at half time, people would have been, bring on Amate. He scored the winner. Why isn't he playing?
Yeah. And you know what? That's one thing that I really have appreciated with the fact, not only with this squad, but the way that Rodgers utilizes the entire team. First team, bench players, really the way he views it and the way he goes about it is like, okay, who has the best opportunity to give us 3 points this game? And that's plain simple. I think he really uses the whole, how did they do this week in training? How did they play in the last game? How did they do X, Y, and Z? And I ultimately believe that that's one of the key ways that he, utilizes and decides who's going to be in the starting lineup. At first, I think the pregame before the Sheffield game, I even said, it'd be ridiculous to take out Amartey, but seeing that back three for the first time, it kind of made me eat my words because, when you have Evans, who I always have called the general in the back four, that's what he always seems to be. He really dictates, play back there, and you throw on, 2 young players like Soyuncu and Fofana, you're really seeing that trifecta of like a really solid back three, which, if they continue to play like this, I think they could be a dominant back three in the Premier League.
Yes, and I think so too, especially coming into last season. We've seen the likes of the year before, obviously up till about Christmas time, when Soyuncu and Evans were running the back, and we've seen from the position again how far that Fofana was pushing up towards those midfield positions, and again was overtaking the likes of Ndidi and playing as kind of a wing back, like a full back at times, which is again good to utilize it. One thing I want to mention as well. If we look at the screen now, obviously we've got the match statistics, 72% possession. Now, again, this is unreal. Some people are still saying that Leicester City are a counter-attacking team. I mean, this proves it. I mean, with the one attempt and one shot on target, I mean, it's not hard to see that they weren't in the game at all. However, I can't remember that amount of high possession, A, under a Brendan Rodgers team, I think B, under any team whatsoever for Leicester City.
No. Honestly, like the more that I think about it, I watched the highlights a few times just to kind of, get my brain back into, remembering the game. But like, I honestly didn't really remember a time where Sheffield even had possession. There was a few times that you can be like, okay, they might take the opportunity, to get to score here, but it just never happened. And I never looked at the stats at the end of the game, but like seeing the 72% is just like absolutely mind blowing. And then you see the shots and the shots on target, like they played a complete game, and that's all you can really say about stats like that. The stats really do dictate the result, and
exactly.
It's plain and simple.
Exactly, and just with that amount of possession, and again, and they did something with it. I just want to, obviously, when we were playing, it's the first time we mentioned that we were they're playing 4-2-3-1. But the more, after a while, I was thinking about it, the more they were playing like a 3-4-3, kind of with the back with 2 number 10s. Now, normally, I think the last time we saw that going player for player was against Wolves in the first game of when we played at home, and we had Fofana. I think we were playing Fofana. I can't remember who was playing the back. I think it might have been not Justin. It might have been Amati. I can't remember who the third centre-back was. But we were playing like a 3-4-3, especially going forward. And we had different position. We had Maddison one side, and then we had Pratt the other, providing the width in the different positions. So even then, them two taken out, you put in the likes of Ayoze Perez and Kelechi Iheanacho, you realize this squad is so strong and there's so much depth, and we just keep playing decent football, and they can change formations. They're changing if they're playing a midfield diamond, if they're playing fullbacks that are bombing on, if they're playing fullbacks that sit deep. We can just change within a match 2 or 3 times. And this is kind of Brendan Rodgers' philosophy in something that, in a way that I don't think we've seen before. And I think even now, it's only taken until now, so even the mainstream media has started to realize that, and some of them even haven't even then.
Yeah, and I think like Rodgers' bread and butter really is, being able to, change up tactics and formation on the fly. And that's just something that, you do not get with every manager. Like that is something that is very lethal when it comes to a manager, in any league, I would say. And the fact that you can have players like, Perez and Nacho stepping up in those roles, when you're missing the likes of, like James Madison and, you're missing, Dennis Pratt, you have these players that, most of the times, at the start of the season, we'd consider bench players. That would be Perez and Nacho. And at this moment, Perez coming back from injury, and he stepped up in the first game that he was back, and Nacho has been on a tear. And you have these two players that really can play that number 10 role together, and that's something that I don't think I ever expected, especially from two players that I will totally admit I've been completely critical about for most of the season. They're making me eat my words now. And I think that's an exciting thing to see because, I want to stay positive and I want to be like, you know what, maybe this is the Nacho that we've been waiting for. Maybe this is the Perez that we've been waiting for. When they play in the roles that they're the most comfortable in, they're going to be playing like this. Maybe that just took a little bit of time for, Rodgers to really figure that out and really be like, okay, you know what? These are where they're comfortable playing, and this is where they're going to get the best results.
Yeah, and again, Brendan Rodgers is never scared to change a formation. Exactly, and we're happy with that. I mean, we've seen it when Ranieri tried to change from the 4-4-2 that we tried to play, and it just fell apart. I can't remember I think it might have been the Southampton game. I can't remember exactly, but I remember Fuchs was on the pitch going, "Tell me where to go, tell me how to play," and it just wasn't happening during the game. So again, this is great. Rich is popping up with all of these comparisons. So we've got the Spanish Messi, we've got the Belgian Pogba, we've got all these words that are coming on. But I know you've put over your score result, which I'll get to in the same way. And so if there's a trend, anybody leave it in the comments below if you can think of anyone similar. Kasper Schmeichel is a Danish. Oh wait, he's already the Danish keeper. But yes, in this case, okay, we'll move on to the next piece of news as well. I think it's something that you tweeted out, and I didn't manage to find the news article, but it is here now. So we click on this, and this might be the wrong one. Okay, we'll start with this one. Didn't realize. So this is going to be Brendan Rodgers' 100th game in charge. I can't find out the exact one. Some of the best results I think you could go on to LCFC.com to find out this information, and some of the best matches again: 5-2, 4-1 against Aston Villa, 9-0 against Southampton, 5-0 against Newcastle, 3-0 against Arsenal. Again, a phenomenal match. 2-1 against Burnley. Again, I think we were down to 10 men with the Harry Maguire getting sent off in this one as well. But yes, again, there's been some great achievements, but at the same time, I think he's got a better score record at the moment compared to better win record compared to Ranieri's team as well that won the league. So just your thoughts in terms of that and how he's done after 100 games, because the transformation has been insane.
Brendan Rodgers is the gift that keeps on giving. We are very lucky, and we should be very grateful that we have a manager like Brendan Rodgers. And just seeing, I always praise the fact, his tactics and the way that he, adapts with his formations in mid game and start of the game, and no matter what, he just seems like he's on the ball. And having a manager like Rodgers is just fantastic, and that's one of the things that I do love about Rodgers. And I think one of the biggest things that I've always said is that, Rodgers could really be the manager anywhere in the world. And he's the manager at Leicester City. And, we don't know how long that's going to be. It could be for another 2, 3 years, 4, you never know. But, let's just enjoy it while he's the manager. He's really brought this club up into into just an incredible shape, and just, they're always competitive and they're always ready to go. And you even look at last season when they collapsed and, everyone was worried, and, they started off this season, and he just seemed like he really, adapted and, matured in the way that he, handles formations and tactics and, starting 11s, and you look at the club now compared to last season, and it's like it's done a full 360. It's incredible. 180. Sorry. It's nothing like last season. And just seeing the players really, lean in and just follow every word is just something. And there's never been any worry about, Brendan Rodgers doing this or that. It's being like, you know what? Trust the process. He knows what he's doing. Just keep following him, and he'll figure it out.
Yes, and again, we will get there. But just for everybody at the moment, just a little bit of plug. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you follow along. We've got some great content lined up for us at the moment. I mean, this evening, I know we don't do any videos for 3 days and then 3 come out at once. I know that's what happened last week, and it's happening again today. Hannah has got the likes of Matt Piper coming on the show, coming out in 4 hours time. So if you're watching this live, make sure to tune in again at 8 o'clock. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well, so you can be alerted of that. Super excited for that interview. So make sure you subscribe and pay attention to the channel, because it's a great time for Leicester fans, and make sure you're here for the only women's content on YouTube at the moment. So for the first time, we're really excited about that. Anyway, moving on, some more news that Alex actually tweeted out earlier as well, that the club shared as well. Defender Shane Flynn signs an LCFC contract. I don't know how long it was actually for. They didn't mention, but again, signed a new deal. But I think it's, again, if we're looking at the likes of the players that we've signed recently, they tend to be on 5-year deals. The likes of Luke Thomas, who's a young player, was signed on a 5-year deal. If Tavares is going to sign, I think he's going to be on a 5-year deal as well. And yes, so for example, what's happening here? I think he was quoted as being one of the top 20. Guardian quoted him as top 20 best young British or English talents, or from the British Isles. I don't know if he's from Northern Ireland in the world, in England at the moment, with the likes of Mason Greenwood being mentioned, with the likes of Bukayo Saka. Both, I think, Bukayo Saka got called up to the England squad. So, and we know, I think Arsenal fans will tell you how well he is doing at the moment. So for this one, it's one of those things where that's a no-brainer, and it shows that, again, the club has a mentality: solidify young talent and make sure that we push him on to the next level. I know he hasn't played any minutes. We can't really judge him too much, but at the moment we can't. I think Alex is just gone, and this is my green screen slightly smaller, but Alex should be back in a second. But in terms of this, Alex, it has to be a really good thing that we're getting through talent into the main squad. I mean, Lesha Bella got his call up last week as well, and also it's going to be really good fun. I think we're in really good hands, and Brendan Rodgers is a main part of that as well.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to just say something that Maddie mentioned. Can we just give a little bit of a praise to the LCFC women? They have just been fantastic this season. And you know what? Sorry. They are, they're first in their, in the table, and they have played absolutely fantastic this season. And just the way that they played against Durham was such a skillful and impressive victory. It was a team performance. And, we talk about the men's side, but I just wanted to give a second where we just say congratulations to the women, because they have just played fantastic this season, and it's been a treat to watch. Yes. Moving forward, with Shane Flynn, and just with the the younger players, I am so excited. I think Flynn is going to be a player for the future, and under management from the likes of Rodgers and his his coaching staff, it's just is something that truly excites me because, I think a lot of people forget on how well Rogers helps and develops young talent. And that's
Yes.
one thing that I even forgot to mention when we were just talking about him. And, that's something that's really exciting because you've seen him bring in players that are young and he molds them into these skilled young talents for the future. And I think Flynn is just going to be another example. I think we're going to look at Tavares as another example, Leshabella, Dele Campbell. I think these players really are, just I think that their development you're going to start to see just start to skyrocket in the next few seasons, and them getting the opportunity to play on first team and potential cups and whatnot. It's exciting to see. I'm like I said before, I'm extremely excited to see what Shane Flynn will be able to do in a Leicester City uniform moving forward. That excites me.
Yes, exactly, and that's one of the things I totally agree with. In terms of our academy is coming through, and not just the academy. I mean, you've seen the likes of Luke Thomas come in the last year or so. Harvey Barnes, obviously, just of recent, Tavares has come in, absolutely smashed it. Yes, Leshabella. I mean, I know there's been a case where we can't play him. We've not been able to play him, but we got 10 minutes. That would be quite cool as well. And another thing as well. Flynn can play, I think, as a left back or a left wing. So we can actually play him on that left side if Barnes is out. If we need somebody to fill in that position, we've got Albrighton, then we can bring in somebody else. So it shows we've got strength and depth throughout our squad. And the fact that he's willing to look forward to this and he's willing to put his future with us, so you can see that we're a club growing in the right direction. I mean, this can only be a good thing at the moment. Now, finally, thanks again. Thank you for all your comments. Good afternoon again to Doug. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope everything is okay. And yeah, make sure you subscribe and like the video. Thank you, Doug, for doing it for me. I always appreciate it when other people help out because I'm still useless at this. But yes, and again, Dio Cantu. Again, shout out to Dio Cantu. Thank you so much. What is one of the best managers in the Premier League in terms of youth development? I think that is clear as day. You can look at the likes of Joe Rodon, who I would have personally liked to see at Leicester City, but I don't think it was going to come. And how he's being treated by Mourinho. And some players won't develop under certain managers. You wouldn't go to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for example, who will come at the moment. And I can't see a future with him bringing young talent with the likes of. You've seen the likes of Dan James not work and things like that. So even this is a top team at the moment. Anyway. We are moving on to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. We've got a preview coming. I don't know with who. So we've got this preview, and then I've got one with a Man United fan. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm working all day tomorrow, so maybe it'll be Saturday morning. I'll let you know. Make sure to stay tuned to our Twitter, and we'll fill you in about that. But anyway, on to the likes of Manchester United. So the last game they played, they're playing actually tonight. So this is recorded ahead of their results. So that's going to be a massive thing for us as well, because for Manchester United, I mean, they're playing against AC Milan away. Then they've got to fly back, come to our ground. I mean, that can only work in our favor, Alex.
Yeah. And I've been listening to podcasts all week about this game. And, the discussion is, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens tonight, who they decide to play, what the outcome is, because realistically, I think you're going to see a completely different lineup on Sunday. We have the advantage, as everyone said, and I will say included, losing in the Europa is a blessing in disguise because now we can really focus in on, both the Premier League and the FA Cup. Primarily, I'm more favorable to the Premier League to finish top three, but at the same time, over the last 24 hours and having discussions on Twitter with, many different, Leicester City fans, it's one game this week and we have more time to rest afterwards. So why not put your best squad out and, go for the semis? We have that option. We're going to be facing a tired Manchester United squad, which is only going to benefit us. And, I think it's going to be, I'm excited. I think the last 24 hours, like I said, discussing it with people on Twitter has really altered the way that I've kind of approached this game. And I think that we have a really good opportunity to, make a statement here and to, have the possibility of moving into the semis.
Interesting. I think Doug's put a good point as well. Ollie hardly rotates. He plays the same team game in, game out, and they're going to get run into the ground eventually. I think they've been quite good for injuries as well. I don't think they've got too many injuries about it because, again, we definitely hear from the massive fan base that is Manchester United if that was the case. And if we can mark, so I mean, for me, a player that will really stand out, in my opinion, a player that's not had too much to do, to be honest, but Wilfred Ndidi will be vital. Stick him on the likes of Bruno Fernandes, cut off that supply. I mean, they don't have that much experience on the wing. I mean, that's probably the best tactic you're going to have. We'll see if we play three at the back. Again, exactly. He always plays Bruno. And that's my point. If we can stick Wilfred Ndidi on, we can just do what we did to Tottenham. I remember Ndidi just absolutely smashed it, literally running all over the pitch, taking on players, getting the ball back, playing that aggressive brand of football that we know he can do and that he turns up for in big games as well. That we can rely on these players to play that. I mean, that's something that I really want to get in, that I really think that he's going to be a massive player for us on Sunday.
Yeah, and one of the things that I often remember is, one of the I can't remember how many podcasts ago, but James said, many games are decided by the way players play in the midfield, and I think this game will be a deciding factor on how which midfield shows up. If Ndidi and Tielemans show up and really stop Fernandes, completely different game. I think we'll have no issue. And I agree with you. I think Ndidi is going to be key, just as he always is. But if we can shut down the midfield, I think there's no point as to why we can't win.
Exactly. So we don't have the. I totally agree. And if we can boss that midfield, especially with the way that Youri Tielemans is playing, we're seeing now that, as you said, we were out of the Europa League. So the fact that we're out of that, coming into the new. In the new thing at the moment is going to be so good. I just want to take it. Obviously, they're playing tonight. We're not managed to record tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll tell you the result. Maybe we can move into that for the next preview that we've got with the Manchester United fan. We'll see who that is. Hopefully soon. But I just want to take it on to obviously the results. So. They won by an own goal, 1-0. It looks quite bad in that sense, in terms of, yes, it was an own goal. They've tricky 1-0 win. But if you watch the match, you watch the highlights, you realize that, again, 7-6s didn't play too well. However, 15 shots, 4 on target. They bossed it, 62%, which then, Ollie's known for hitting on the counter. In this case, 62% to 38. I mean, West Ham having a great season as well. And they set up pretty strong at the moment. 4-2-3-1. Fernandes, Rashford, James, which I was surprised at. Greenwood up top instead of Martial, Cavani. Fred McTominay, Lindelof, Guy, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka. I mean, that's still defensively, that's still very strong. And I heard on Match of the Day there was all about Maguire and Shaw having very good games, and obviously the England call up as well, both of them. So at the moment, I'm still feeling very confident for this game, even though they've turned over that result. I think Manchester United fans are kind of on the bench, on the fence about him and how they're playing, but I think they're definitely ours for the taking, Alex.
Yeah, and one thing that I will say is that this could frustrate a lot of Manchester United fans, but their football this season has not been exciting.
No.
They've pulled out victories 1-0, 2-1. There hasn't really been hard-fought battles. They've been lucky where they might have gotten a goal off a penalty. To me, if we pull out a 1-0 victory here and it's a very slow-paced game, but we're lucky, I'm going to be ecstatic, because at the end of the day, the games that I have watched of Manchester United, it's just been boring. And it seems like they've been playing boring football this season. And I always look at the positive that when they do play in Europe, they tend to get sloppy in the Premier League. Yeah. And we might benefit very well from them playing it in Europe this week. So only time will tell. I hope I don't, kick myself, but I do feel fairly confident moving into this weekend.
Yes, I think that we might move to kind of a. I think we'll do a potentially a similar 3-5-2 kind of. Obviously, it was more of a 3-4-3 this time, but I think we'll be a 5-3-2 kind of, three people in the midfield, really shore that up. And you might not see the likes of Perez. I think, even though we had a fantastic game, the fact that it will be more physical towards that back end, we need somebody like even a Tavares that will come in and try and play them and rattle them. And again, all dominant, no finishing. That's kind of what they had in the fixture at home to us. I remember, obviously they hit the post, they were kind of unlucky, but they just couldn't finish, and that's something that I think that we could look forward to. But other than that, I think I'll go right back to the top. Rich has put 2-0. That's kind of what I'm going for. I genuinely think we could win this 2-0. It's going to be a scrappy defeat. I don't think we can concede goals, but what? Oh yeah, you don't like to do score predictions. Okay. Do you think we can win, Alex? We'll say that. Do you think how likely do you think it is we're going to win?
So yeah, I don't predict. I'm like Hannah, neither of us predict. So I'm feeling fairly confident. I will say that I am feeling fairly confident. Yeah. I don't like putting in numbers because I think I always like to mention the last time I did that, we ended up getting whooped by Liverpool. So since that game, I've stopped. But I feel confident, with Man U playing this week, with us having a full week of rest, we're getting players back, and Kalichi just, Nacho's just playing on a whole new level. I think he's just going to embarrass Maguire. I'm calling that. Nacho will make Maguire cry at some point. It's going to happen, and I can't wait to see it.
That'll be good fun, and that'll be good fun. And also, the 3 goals he scored, all completely different. Yeah. And people that haven't been taking notice, I know he's known as a poacher, but the 3 again, he's a real confidence player, and I think that's brilliant. The prediction, guys, I have it too. Whenever I get confident, we end up losing. But I'm like, I just. Oh well. I mean, it's not. If I get it wrong, I mean, it's not the end of the world. But yes, again, some people said Vardy scored. That would be interesting. Yeah. If somebody could do something like turn Maguire inside out, that would be quite, and then slot it away. I think that would annoy the Manchester United fan base, and that'd be quite funny as well. But yes, thank you everybody for watching the live stream. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications. Again, for tonight's show, only in about 3.5 hours if you're watching this live, we've got Matt Piper back on the show for the 3rd time in a row talking about the women's football. So if you want the inside information on the women's football, make sure you tune into that. Thank you once again, Alex, for joining, and we'll see everybody in the next video. So thank you so much, and goodbye.